Howdy folks, Doc here with Last Best Tool, and well, CountyComm has got a new, smaller variation of their delicate operations hammer, or their armorer's hammer. I can only imagine the conversations that they must have with clients. Some of these they've developed for specific purposes, but maybe not even knowing what that purpose is. So they call it a delicate operations hammer. So I could imagine somebody, one of those maybe three-letter agencies or one that doesn't even exist, saying, we need a delicate operations hammer. And the CountyComm folks are like, okay, sure. So what are you going to be hitting with this thing? It's a hammer. And they say, stuff. We're going to hit stuff with it. Okay. What kind of stuff? Delicate stuff. Okay. I think we can design that. And so they did. And they came out with this one. This is a larger one. This is 12 inches long, about 4 inches wide. It weighs 23 ounces, costs $150 off the CountyComm site. And it has a hardened steel cap, butt cap basically. Looks like this. You can unscrew these, you can move them around because there are 3 different positions. So it's got a hardened steel one, it's got a brass one, and it has a nylon one. The rest of the entire hammer is titanium. Well, there's now a smaller one. This one's 8 inches long by about 3.3 inches wide here at the head. Again, it has the hardened steel cap. It's got the brass cap and the nylon cap. Now this one sells for $75 off their website, or about 1/2 of what the larger one sells for. Now, CountyComm has really been pushing a lot of innovation in the titanium tool space, making all kinds of interesting designs with drivers, with hammers, with hooligan bars. These are just outrageous that they bothered to make something like that. I mean, who else would? And it actually is quite effective for basic prying stuff. And if you're used to this design, you know that it can do a few other things. But anyway, back to the hammer. It comes with one extra set of caps of brass and the nylon. It doesn't come with an extra hardened steel cap. There's probably a good reason for that, because these two are more consumables, if you will. They're designed to take a beating rather than the object that you're hitting, whereas the steel's going to fight back and definitely not wear out anywhere as fast as the other two. Overall, fits good in the hand. It's got a decent balance. This one I had pointed out with that giant, this is like solid titanium down here. It's kind of amazing. So if you look at the balance point on this guy, it's back here, right there, whereas the balance point here, a little bit more forward. A little bit nicer, I think, for smaller use, because you can kind of rock it in your hand. The larger one, as the weight stays back, you end up having to kind of control the head a little bit differently than, say, with an axe or a traditional hammer, where a majority of the weight is up in the front end. So it behaves a little bit differently, not good or bad, but it's a heavy hammer, but most of the weight, well, if you look, again, look at that weight distribution. Now that is with this steel cap on the end. If I took that off, I can do that, it drastically changes the way this works, but you can see there is now, you could cap that with something, but you can see now we've moved the weight, quite a bit further forward. But anyway, I thought I'd bring these to your attention. There was some significant interest when I originally did the larger hammer video. And more than a few thought, gosh, a smaller one, something you can really choke up on, but still has that titanium feel. Titanium, the nature of the material, it kind of lowers the reverberation. In some ways, it's kind of like carbon fiber. And if you use it on things like golf club shafts, tennis rackets, bike frames, things like that, it really deadens a lot of the transmission of, say, vibration frequencies through it. So much so that I highlighted that carbon fiber fishing rod, that fly rod. Some people think that deadens it a little bit. They like the old bamboo or even some of the early fiberglass that was really twitchy. that can be great on something like a fly rod. But in a repetitive environment where that isn't why you're doing it, in fly fishing, to catch fish, to fight with the fish, to feel that, that initial strike, or even just the nibble on the fly. But with something like this, that's not necessarily desirable. So it's an absolute great use of titanium. I think the same in bike frames. The more you can deaden the feel of it, the better it is for longer rides. Sure, if you want to race a crit and have just a super fast, responsive sports car-like bike, great. But otherwise, titanium, I think that's the answer. And I'm happy that CountyComm is making it. Hey, maybe a carbon fiber hammer. Something to think about. Anyway, with that, Doc out.